podcast. I'm Nicola.
And I'm Wendy.
And together we're Corporate Conundrums. So today we're going to take you through another one of our 5 key tips for success. So Wendy, what are we going to cover today?
We are going to cover today the power of verbal language.
Okay.
So communication not used very well. We don't step back far enough sometimes to have a think about what we're going to say prior to saying it. So we have knee-jerk conversation and communication, which can sometimes be very unresourceful. So step 1, the traffic light system of language.
Okay, what's the traffic light system?
Well, we in Scotland have a tendency of perhaps using words which are not moving us forward in conversations. We tend to be known as a doer race. Not that I think that of us, but quite often in Scotland we're known to be maybe slightly, negative in the way in which we communicate. So red words, stop, no, can't. All the words which actually block conversation from moving forward. Orange words, maybe, should, perhaps. They're tentative words that qualify us from saying yes. And green words, yes, will, can, go. All the words which move you forward. So the traffic light of language. Be aware of what you say when somebody asks, how are you today? How are you today, Nicola?
I'm awesome.
Commonly as well, quite often you can say, and how are you today, Nicola? Not bad.
I'm doing okay.
Yeah, doing okay, not
Could
bad.
be better.
So very commonly the answer can be a stop or a block. So think about the words choice you use before using them. Think red, orange, green. Go to use positive green words.
Okay. Step 2.
Step 2 is articulation. If you're in a hurry, if you're stressed, if you're finding that you're not particularly happy, you're a bit down in the dumps, it's very often that you might just start to mumble a little bit and not really get your words out particularly clearly and sort of just mumble on your breath. So articulation, it's absolutely fundamental that when you're speaking to somebody, you clarify what you're saying in a way in which they can understand what you're saying by the way in which you use your mouth and your tongue to get the words out. That's number 2.
Number 3.
Number 3 is pace and tone. If somebody is speaking to you and they're speaking quite quietly and quite slowly and they're particularly relaxed and you go in bouncing around with full of energy, you're not necessarily going to get the best synergy between you and the person with whom you're speaking. So you get a bit of problems with rapport. So being aware of pacing your conversation to meet the audience with whom you're wanting them to listen with, or you're wanting them to listen to you. So pace yourself and use tone to engage. So you don't want to speak in a monosyllabic tone where nobody really can understand, or they can understand but they're not particularly going to listen to you because it's incredibly boring to speak all in the one tone. So you're really wanting to actually use your voice in almost a wave-like motion to create enthusiasm, passion, and engage people. So pace and tone, number 3.
Careful with the passion. So we've had
language. Oh, I didn't think you could ever have enough passion.
Language traffic lights, articulation.
Yeah.
Step 3 was pace and tone.
Yep.
Where do we go from there?
The 4th one is, this is a good one for me, is to remember to slow down and breathe. Having quietness in conversation encourages somebody to listen to you. So sometimes just taking a breath, slowing yourself down, and thinking about what you're going to say before you say it allows the person to actually tune in and listen more clearly. So taking a breath doesn't only encourage them to listen to you, but it also gives you an opportunity to just slow down and have more thoughtful insights in your mind about what you're going to verbalize before you actually say anything. So that's number 4.
And where do we finish? What's number 5?
So number 5 is an interesting one. Number 5 is when you're speaking to somebody, they will have common language. They'll have language that is, if you like, their preference. They might use words commonly like, I like the sound of that. Can you hear what I'm getting at? And when you then speak back to them, you use similar language back. Did you hear what I was getting at there? Did it sound okay? So you're picking up on keywords that the people or the person with whom you're communicating is using and playing it back to them. It's very useful on the phone because it's difficult sometimes to get rapport on the phone because there's no interface, body, like, you know, non-verbals, and there's no energy coming from the person. So using and tuning in and listening to the predicates that somebody is saying, or the adjectives or their common words, and using them back immediately creates a listening bond between you and the person or people with whom you're talking. So that's number 5.
Another 5 key tips for success. Thank you very much for joining us. Make sure you tick that bell to be notified of any future podcasts, but also have a look at the library. There's lots of things in there for everybody.
Yeah.
And if you've got any suggestions for any future podcasts, make sure you put
Let us
those in the
know.
comments below. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.